What's up, y'all? It's your girl August, and I'm back with a Soul Food Sunday. Today we're making a classic red beans and rice. This is a classic dish from New Orleans. I really love this dish, and it's really dear to my heart. Let's get into our ingredients. First up, we have our andouille sausage. You want to get a smoked andouille sausage, and then just cut it into about 1-inch rounds. Over here, we have our holy trinity, which is the basis of a lot of Cajun and Creole seasoning. It's just a mix of green bell pepper, white onion, and celery. I used about 3 celery stalks, 1 large white onion, and 1 green bell pepper. Of course, we can't forget our seasonings. We don't need too much seasonings because all of this together is going to create a great flavor. But our seasonings, we have Cajun seasoning, of course, some dried oregano, and smoked paprika. Don't use the regular paprika. You want to use smoked paprika to add that depth of flavor to the dish. Of course, we have garlic. I mean, what's a dish without garlic? And we have our red beans here. I already soaked them overnight in some water, and I already drained and rinsed them. You can do a quick soak. It'll tell you the directions on the back of the package. You usually just put it in a pot with some water, come to a boil. It'll say on the package. We have our chicken bouillon. I love to use the Better Than Bouillon brand. And of course, some water. And last but not least, we have our bay leaf. People are always like, what does bay leaf really do in a dish? Like, you can't taste it, but it really brings all the flavors together. You need bay leaf when you're making soups or stews. And then we have some fresh thyme. I like to just add this for a little earthy tone and some vibrancy to the dish. All right, so now it's time to get to cooking. You're gonna need a large pot. I heated it up over medium-high heat, and we're gonna add just a touch of oil in here, just a little bit, because the sausage is gonna render a lot of fat. So you wanna add in your sausage, and then kind of just spread it around the bottom. If you're using a pan that isn't large enough, you might have to do this in batches. And we're just gonna brown the sausage on each side, basically. We're not cooking it all the way through because we're gonna do that later on in the recipe, but you just wanna get a nice sear on it, and also the fat that renders from the sausage is gonna help with the flavor of the entire dish. All right, so our sausage is browned. So I'm just gonna remove it from the pot and set it aside. Use this later on in the recipe. But you see all of this fat that's on the bottom from the sausage? That's what we want. All right, now I'm gonna add just a little touch of oil again, because of course we have oil in here, and we're gonna go in with our holy trinity. And you wanna add all of that in here into the pot. And then we're gonna just let this cook for a few minutes until it gets a bit softer. Okay, now we're gonna add our garlic. Stir that around. I'm gonna go in with my seasonings. Okay, I like to go in with the seasonings before adding the liquid, just so it opens up all of those spices. Okay, ooh, this smells so good. It smells smoky. Right now, I'm gonna go in with my bouillon. Okay, and you don't have to use this brand. You could also use powdered bouillon, or if you have chicken stock, you could use that too. Okay, and then I stir that around for a little bit. And then I'm gonna add in my beans. So you wanna dump all those beans in there. Give that a little stir. Then I like to bring the heat up to high and add in my water, because this is basically a stew. So you want to cook the beans down till they get nice and soft. And of course you need water to do that. I'm gonna stir it all up. And once this comes to a boil, then I'm gonna add in the bay leaf and our thyme. Okay, so now it's boiling. We're gonna add in our thyme and our bay leaf. And I like to just give this one little stir. Okay. So now we're gonna cover it, and I'm gonna reduce the heat to about medium low, about number 2 on my stove. Um, and I just think that red beans and rice is one of the most perfect dishes to make for soul food Sundays. It's just comforting. The aroma smells up your home, and it's not a quick dish to make, but I think it's fairly simple. The ingredients are, very accessible, and it's just something that I just love to make. Okay, an hour and a half passed, so now we're just gonna remove the top, and I'm gonna give this a nice stir. If any foam forms on the top, you want to skim that off. I see that I don't really have much, so we don't have to worry about that. And I like to smash the beans a bit with the back of my spoon, and this is what's gonna make the red beans and rice very creamy. You want that like creamy consistency. Sometimes I'll take it out and maybe blend it up, but you really don't have to do all that. I just take my time and smash the beans on the side of the pot, the bottom of the pot. And you see it's starting to get a little bit creamier. And you can always do some more of this later on. But I like to try to do as much as I can before I add the sausage into the pot. And I give it a stir to just check if I want to smash any more. I do. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add the sausage to the pot. Ooh, be careful when you're doing this so you don't splash it on yourself. Okay, give this a stir. And we're gonna let this simmer uncovered for an additional 30 minutes. And then it's gonna all thicken up. And we're gonna have our nice red beans and rice recipe. And during the last 30 minutes, this is when I suggest to make your rice. Okay, so now our beans are done, and look at how thick that is. That is the consistency that we're looking for. I took the bay leaf out and the little, sprigs from the thyme. Want to make sure that's out of there. Oh, wow, look at this. Delicious. Now we're just going to stir in some parsley for brightness, freshness. It's going to really bring everything together. And if you don't have fresh parsley, you can use dried parsley, but fresh is always the best. All right, so now it's time to plate our dish. I like to put the rice in first. I like to put it in the center and then add the red beans around. So just like so. Whew. I can't wait to tear this up. Now I'm gonna just top it with some chives. You could use scallions too if you want. And we're good to go. Beautiful red beans and rice. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And you can find the full recipe link in the description.